What is the scale of the business right now?
Right now we are doing around 22 crores a year.
How did you think which category to go in?
I found a huge gap, but there was no brand in mobile accessories as a segment. So I went to China with these categories in mind. There I found that there was a glass called Asahi glass.
Okay, and no one had experimented with this glass.
Asahi glass, but even Sprig did not.
Finding people who make those level of research products, was it easy in China?
It was very tough. So 2 years China was blocked. It was a tough time. So I knew it was not a liquid silicone, it was lab rubber. I think Motorola observed it. They wanted somebody to handle their back covers and tempered glass as a category.
Oh wow. Did you approach Motorola?
Motorola approached us.
Like, how do you manage your entire day-to-day operation at 14,000 SKUs? मैं हूं कपिल थिरानी एंड दिस इज वन इन अ बिलियन और आज हमारे साथ है विक्रम जैन, फाउंडर ऑफ स्प्रिग. वेलकम विक्रम. तो मैं बोलूँगा वेलकम बैक टू फ्लिपकार्ट अगेन. आप पहले फ्लिपकार्ट के साथ एसोसिएट रह चुके हो. सो डू यू वांट टू टेल समथिंग अबाउट दैट टाइम? व्हाट वर यू डूइंग इन फ्लिपकार्ट एंड लिटिल बिट ऑफ जर्नी बिफोर दैट?
अच्छा, तो मैं फ्लिपकार्ट आई जॉइंड इन एज एसोसिएट डायरेक्टर. आई वाज इनिशियली हैंडलिंग टीवीज. So I joined in that pivotal year, 2014, when e-commerce took off and became very big. I was part of that first big billion day team.
Wow.
Also.
That is always a memory. आप कोई भी Flipster से, I was also during that time, I was with Flipkart. And I think that memory of that first day when at 8 o'clock in the morning, it started, it was just
live
amazing.
and everything. All the servers started crashing.
Yeah.
So it was a great time, great learning. So 2014 mein we were building the large appliances whole vertical.
Yeah.
So we worked very in depth into how the categories have to be listed, how the product pages have to be shown, the whole merchandise concept, how the browse will work, how the search will work.
Correct.
So it was a great time there. During those times, Kalyan used to be heading this category.
Yeah.
So under his leadership, we learnt a lot. After that, I moved into electronics.
Okay.
So electronics as a category, I was handling close to 1.5 years.
Okay. And electronics had all the components around, like Bluetooth speakers, etc. Even cases and covers was part of the same thing, right?
No, cases and covers used to come under the mobile, this one.
Okay.
So this one, cameras used to come.
Okay.
Cameras and other accessories and all. There are some 3 categories.
Okay.
Gaming, cameras, and laptop and IT accessories.
So before Flipkart भी आप category management में थे. You were working with retail. तो थोड़ी उससे पहले की journey, where are you from? We can start from there again.
Yeah. So I come from a trading community. I'm a Marwadi Jain.
Okay.
So born and brought up in Chennai. So I'm like a 4th generation Chennai right now.
Oh, okay.
So I did my MBA from IIM Kozhikode. From there on, I got picked up by Reliance. So I joined in Reliance. I was working in chairman's office.
Okay.
I was reporting into the EA to Mr. Mukesh Ambani.
Okay.
Had a good time there. Then moved into operations because I really wanted to learn the nuts and bolts of retail.
Yeah.
So spent some time in operations and post-marriage, I settled down in category management.
Okay.
So 2008, I got married. So after marriage, I started handling TVs as a category. Initially, I was the merchandiser. Then I became the category manager.
Okay.
So I was handling TVs. After that, I was handling audio video as a category. And then post that tablets, I was heading the category.
Okay. So you've always been with electronics category. आपके जितनी corporate journey रही है, कभी वहाँ आप TV categories में आए, फिर उसके बाद आपने यहाँ पे electronics category किया. So ये corporate से छोड़ के अपना business शुरू करना, इस बारे में कब सोचा आपने?
Actually, initially तो सोच नहीं था. When I started, my family was going through a tough time when I did my education. So तब मैंने सोचा कि नौकरी करना है, टेंशन फ्री है, मंथ एंड में सैलरी आ जाएगा, थोड़ा बहुत गालियाँ सुनना है बॉस का. So that's how I started. But see, there's always, we call it genetics. तो क्या है, we've been traders for many generations. I don't know, uncountable. So it's always been there in the blood for me to do something independent, to be my own boss. So after around 5-6 years, I realized ki corporate is not going to be my cup of tea because I was more a doer.
Okay.
And that is a trait which we as a community come in from.
Yeah.
And as I grew from a trainee to a manager, from a manager to a leader, so the work became less of execution and more of PPT management and more of your MIS, annual planning and all that.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized ki abhi wapas, we have to go back to our pavilion and start from the scratch.
Okay.
Lot of opposition was there from my family.
Yeah.
Because for family also, they also think ki month end mein salary aa jati hai, tension free hai.
And so family को convince करने में क्या बहुत time लगा? Like were they not okay with it? And then
They were not okay. Both my in-laws and parents, they were not okay. I just said I've taken a decision. I just waited for the EMI to get over. The EMI got over. You'll not believe the EMI got over. Within 15 days, I put in my papers.
And you were with Flipkart at that time?
Yeah, I was with Flipkart.
Okay. And being in Flipkart, being in Reliance, I think what had happened is you must have gotten to know so much about categories. So, and when you thought about doing entrepreneurship, how did you narrow down on one category? You have seen the entire spectrum. How did you think this is the category where I want to focus on? This is what I want to do. Take me through the thought process at that point of time.
So, when I handled category in Reliance, right, I was handling a category called audio and video.
Okay.
And audio and video, and during that time I was closely in touch with the mobile team also. So mobile electronics also something that excited me, and audio is something I was very passionate. I'm a very music aficionado.
Okay.
And I'm an audiophile. So initially I thought I'll do it in home theaters, and home theater is a very, very specialized segment. Not everybody can understand, be it the product, be it the consumer segment. So 2016-17, when initially I left Flipkart, it was in my mind whether to go into consultancy, because typically when you do MBA, that is what they teach you. They teach you to become good consultants. So I tried that for 1 year and I failed miserably.
Oh, so you did not directly start selling something. You just left the job because you wanted to do something on your own.
Yeah.
Okay.
So initially I dabbled around with consulting. Then I realized ki that's not my cup of tea and that's not there in my genes.
Yeah.
I'm more a doer than a consulter. So after the 2017 is when I started putting my whole thought together. I thought I'll get into home theater. And that's one mistake I made because I mixed passion with business.
Okay.
So as I told you, I was a music aficionado and I was audiophile also.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll get into home theater. And when I got into home theater 2017 and I started off with home theater as a e-commerce business. One of the first guys to do that. That's when I realized ki home theater as a whole has been getting eaten up because mobile has come. And people have switched in terms of their lifestyle habits. So home theater is more a family concept.
Yeah.
And we were moving more towards individualism. And that's what was happening between 2010 to 2020. Living room as a concept lost.
Yeah.
And I realized immediately. I realized category is good, but it is degrowing. And one of the major factors which led to its degrowth is mobile as a product which came in. And second, individualism as a concept, wherein living room concept just went dead.
Yeah.
Like during those times, you'll never see like people sitting together or like
watching something together, listening to music together. Everything happened.
Everybody started getting busy with their laptops and mobiles. I realized it quite fast. And that's when I thought ki I'll have to switch. And then I moved into mobile electronics because that's a category which I have researched quite well during my Reliance days.
Okay.
More than Flipkart, in my Reliance days, I had researched quite well. For primary thing was I wanted to be self-funded. Again, I wanted to be my own boss. So I wanted to get into something which was in a low investment, high margin kind of a category. Reasonably good margin when compared to categories like TV and all, where margins used to be in 2%, 3%.
Yeah.
Same goes for mobiles.
Yeah.
And 2019, I got my thoughts together. I visited China for the first time. Maybe for the second time. Earlier, I went once during my Flipkart days.
Yeah.
Try to understand as a category how
Which place did you go in China?
China, initially I went to Guangzhou.
And very sure about the category you wanted to go in, or you just went to China to explore?
No, I was almost sure. Whatever research I did whatever initial bit of primary research and secondary research I did, I was quite sure. And maybe there were 2-3 more categories which were in my mind, like laptop accessories and all.
So this is very interesting. I want you to explain us to the research journey, because people generally, when they think they want to do something, they're not sure. So obviously you told you wanted something which is a high margin category. And apart from that, what were the other considerations? How do you think which category go into? Because there's so many things to sell and you have so much of experience, so you can delve into any categories. So what was that thought process?
That's where genetics come into play. So we always see what is the money being put and what is the money you get. So first thing which was on top of my mind was the capital which was involved. I did not want to get into a high capital category and play again a high risk game.
Yeah.
Because the previous ones were bombed and I did not have so much of funds. And I was very, very clear that I did not want to go into investor. Even now I'm very clear. So capital, I wanted something which can be managed and which I can slowly organically grow and expand. And number 2 was margins. I did not want to get into a category where there were no margins to be made. Basically any category where it is very competitive and there is not much of differentiation involved. Those things came from my MBA days, because that's what marketing taught us. And the third was where there was a market for it. I was very clear. See, my family, my whole family, my extended family, I've been seeing for 3 generations, they're all into businesses. And one unfortunate thing, which I keep reflecting even whenever I'm free these days, is they've not been able to scale up. And when I look at it, why they've not been able to scale up is because they've not been able to create a brand. So when I say a brand, you've not been able to create a perceived differentiation, and you're not able to play a competitive game. You're just doing a trading.
Yeah.
And I was very, very clear. I wanted not to do trading because trading is something which cannot be scaled.
Yeah.
So that was another factor which was in my mind. And then I got into a couple of categories. And mobile electronics, I found a huge gap, but there was no brand in mobile accessories as a segment, because the mobile ASPs were very low and they were just shooting up those days.
Yeah.
Spigen was the only guy, and Spigen is from Korea. So Indian brand, there was nobody there.
Yeah.
So then I realized there's a lot of demand for it.
Even accessories, when you think about it, right? There are many accessories. There are cables, there are covers, there are screen guards, then there are tablet covers. There's so many things. So initially, obviously, when you wanted to start, you might have chosen a product, or you might have been chosen a specific vertical.
Yes.
So how did you narrow down on that, and what was the thought process?
Yeah. So initially, see, there were 3-4 categories which I was doing quite a bit of research. I was doing research on the chargers and cables. And then I was also doing research on backers and screen guards. Why I initially did not touch charging cables and chargers was all the big brands were there. And if you want to compete with them, you'll have to sell at 30-40% less the price, because they are charging a premium for the brand.
Yeah.
And for me, there was no brand those days. So I had to start from the scratch.
Yeah.
Plus, there was a high MOQ involved, because you want to go to a good, get in touch with a good factory and sign up contract manufacturing. You have to promise a very high MOQ. So it was a very high risk game.
Okay.
High risk and a long-term game.
Yeah.
Because building a brand takes time.
Yeah.
And then for screen guards and back covers, I was thinking, but back covers, initially I thought it's too wide a segment in terms of assortment.
Yeah.
So I went to China with these categories in mind, and that's when I went to a factory in Guangzhou. So there I found that there was a glass called Asahi glass. So Asahi glass is basically, there's a company called AGC Corporation.
Okay.
They specialize in making glasses for all automobiles.
Okay.
So the beauty of that Asahi glass is it has a very high transmittance.
Okay.
So when I say transmittance, how the light passes, so you are able to, so it has like around 96%.
So can you explain in layman's language what is transmittance for everyone? How does it help a mobile case?
So transmittance is basically, if I take a mobile display, so what I see on the mobile display is basically 96% gets transmitted. So there is a 4-5% blockage in terms of the pixels.
And what was the industry standard at that time for?
Industry was 88-86%.
So you found something which was much better in quality.
One was the transmittance.
Yeah.
Second was the touch.
Okay.
So if you remember those days, the touch used to lag.
Yeah.
You'll touch, it will take at least a fraction of a second to recognize.
Yeah.
So the touch response was supposed to be one of the best. for Asahi glass.
Okay, and no one had experimented with this glass.
Asahi glass, nobody. Even Sprig did not do.
Okay, and how did you think this can be used on top of a mobile?
So there was a use case where they were doing it for a brand in Europe, some brand, I'm not able to recall the name now. So then I thought we'll have to create a differentiation. And it's a very strong differentiation because I personally use those tempered glasses which are available in the market.
Yeah.
And I was very sure that at least to a mid-end and a high-end audience, they will understand the benefit and there will be takers.
Okay. So you started with screen guard.
Yes.
And screen guard, Asahi glass was the thing that you thought you got a lot of differentiation. So then how does it work in China? Like when you go to China and you want to sell in India, what are the process which is involved?
How my family also is into many categories, including mobile. The traditional way is there are two big markets. In Guangzhou, there is one Nanfang Dasha market and New Asia.
Yeah.
And in Shenzhen, you have this Sega market. But what happens in those markets is whatever they give, you'll have to take. The problem with that is there is no quality, quality continuity, and you cannot play around with any of the features you want, or you cannot do any customization. So I was very sure that I did not want to do all that white labeling. So what I did is I went to a factory in Guangzhou and I spoke to them. I told them this is what I want, and there was a discussion in terms of MOQ. So initially I thought maybe iPhone and Samsung is what I'll start with, and then I'll slowly arrange the other things.
Okay. And then you made Asahi glass as your product, so you placed orders there. And then what did you do in between? Because you had to also educate people about Asahi glass, right? No one knows about transmittance, no one knows about touch receptivity. So how did you go about doing that?
So we were one of the first brands to incorporate into merchandise images. Those days, tempered glass, there used to be one image of a glass and this. So we educated customers a lot. And one more initiative which we took during that time to build on to our differentiation, we tried to build an app also.
Okay.
So that the tempered glass fitting becomes easy. So one of the complaints, which is slightly off the topic, one of the complaints which we used to get from the customers is not able to align with the phone and all. And that's when we started experimenting on the DIY applicator.
Okay.
So we did a lot of marketing communication.
Okay. And it was more of catalog marketing, or what kind of marketing was it? Like, because that time even, I don't think the content world had erupted so much. So
it's more of catalog marketing, merchandising images. Those were the things we played around with. And in the website also, we educated customers a lot.
So you focused a lot on platforms to sell it, or you were also building your own website where you could educate people?
No, initial days, we were focusing only on Flipkart.
Okay.
We kept our own platform where we were educating customers about Asahi glass.
Okay.
We were telling them what is Asahi glass, what do you mean by transmittance, what is the touch response. And we had a huge following those days. If you remember, there was this phone called Republic of Gamer, ROG.
Yeah.
So there was ROG 3 those times and ROG 5 those days. So one beautiful aspect about gaming is your touch response has to be spot on.
Correct.
Otherwise, you cannot play those games.
Yeah.
Initially, PUBG, and I think PUBG got banned sometime in 2021, 2028. After that, there were many other games. So we got a very strong fan following among these ROG 3, ROG 5 gamers.
Okay.
So even now, there are some phones of Vivo IQ series, I think, which are gaming phones. So the gaming customers prefer our tempered glass.
Okay. So you went to China, ordered, got your lot, started educating people. How was the response? Like initially, obviously, people did not know, and your product must have been at a slightly higher price in such a commoditized market. Yeah. So how did you play that part?
So initially, what we did is we did not focus on margins. We just tried to break even.
Okay.
So initially we started with a very low ASP, 300, 350, and then we moved to 400 as we educated the customers. And then I think by 2021, we moved into a ASP of around 500.
Okay. So it all started by making sure initially you let the trials happen. And once the trials happen, consumers use it, then maybe they come and repeat it again.
Yeah. One is that. And again, one more thing is we focused on categories where there was a lot of latent demand.
Yeah, correct.
So we try to understand the different buckets which were there. We knew iPhone was the most contested market, followed by Samsung. We did not focus on that. We focused on, as I told you, ROG, we focused a lot. We focused a lot on LG those days. LG used to get beautiful phones those days.
Okay.
So those brands, and Google, we focused a lot.
So explain about your entire assortment strategy, right? Because there are so many phones, so many brands, and you don't know which phone will be successful. These products have a good lead time in terms of when you order in China and when they come and hit your warehouses here. So how did you plan everything out?
See, assortment first, in terms of the segmentation, we had a very, very clear segmentation. First was the mass market product. So mass market product for us, iPhone also we used to categorize in mass market because iPhone, the range used to be available quite easily. Because every factory had, and all the markets, you go to Sega market, you will get thousands and thousands of variants. And then we had the Samsungs of the world. So iPhone and Samsung usually is very highly competitive. So you are typical, any model you take, you will get thousands of options. And then followed by, there were models, there were brands which were very online focused. So these brands never had the assortment in the offline market. Like your Motorola never had the assortment those days. Even now it has very less. Your Google never had. Google Pixel still we are struggling because these are all online brands. Not online, I would say. These are very e-commerce driven brands. So we were, initially we were very clear, we did not want to get into segment where there is like too much of price undercutting involved and there's too much of options for customers. So the more the options for the customers, the lesser is your overall visibility. One is your visibility and second is the competitiveness, because end of the day, it boils down to price.
Correct.
When your assortment is, when the overall assortment for the customer is more.
So what you did was create a differentiated product and focused on the tail of the category, and rather on the torso and tail of the category and not on the head, to make sure that you don't face enough competition. And even if you face competition, your product is a bit differentiated because of the transmittance and the receptivity. So now, how was the scale of the business? So you probably started doing a lot more of screen guards?
Initially, we were doing a lot more of screen guards. And 2021, then we did a pilot. We got OnePlus Nord, I remember. OnePlus Nord was doing very well. OnePlus Nord, and you had that OnePlus 60, OnePlus 70, not 60, OnePlus 6 and OnePlus 70. That series, we got the liquid silicone back covers. Again, why liquid silicone back covers? I did a very deep research on that. I found out that designer back covers as a category was too much. Like, it was everywhere. And it had a very short shelf life. I was very clear. I did not want to get into a category with a very short shelf life. One was the shelf life. And second, I saw a very clear trend wherein designer as a category was going down and customers wanted very subtle. The very subtle, very plain, minimalistic design, we'll say, or a minimalistic CMF play, as I would put it. CMF is basically color, material and finish. And that's when I did a lot of research. I tried to understand what Apple did, what Samsung did. Then I understood that Apple researched on a category called liquid silicone. Not a category, it's a material actually. So liquid silicone is like, comes out of soil. There's a silica which comes out of soil. So they make a gel out of it. And from there, the back cover gets done. So why Apple did it? It is because it was sustainable. And the finish was very good. And you can play around with colors.
And finding people who make those level of research products, was it easy in China?
It was very tough. So I understood Apple did it. Then Apple had also moved out. They started focusing on leather. But leather as a category is very expensive. I thought the affordability was not there. So I was very clear liquid silicone had to be done. But that time I had a bottleneck because I could not travel to factory. That time your China visa was not there because of the COVID. So 2 years China was locked. I think 2.5 years China was locked. It was a tough time. So 2021, I still remember I initially asked a factory, you please send in. They sent. So I had a lab in Bangalore. I got it checked. I knew it was not a liquid silicone. It was lab rubber because it's very easy to fool the customer. It both look the same, but there are ways you can identify. Of course, through usage, you will get to know within 15 days, but there are other ways. So I got that check. Then I understood it is basically a laboratory rubber, chemical rubber we call it, which they call it solid silicone. Solid silicone is very layman term. So then again, a couple of more factories I found. I asked them for the samples. That whole process took 6 months.
And is it a very trust deficit buying when it happens with China? Like, are you able to trust everyone? Because when you ask someone for your silicon thing, if there was something which was made in laboratory sent to you, how do you think is it for a new person to go ahead and make sure they go and source something from China?
See, the trust factor comes in when you're dealing with the factory. Factories are generally trustworthy.
Okay.
And you'll have to understand whether the factory is servicing which market.
Okay.
Those two things. The first thing is you have to ensure that there is a factory.
Yeah.
And that is what happens. Like when you go to a Hong Kong show, you'll have 90 out of 100 people claiming that we have factory, we have such and such setup. You go there, they'll take you to some other friend's factory and just try to fool you.
Yeah.
So that is something even I've been through initially. So I knew that factory has to be there.
Yeah, yeah. So you did your research there. So you found the next product. So how was the first product performing when you took over the next product, and how did that product also do when you launched it?
So the first one which I did, OnePlus was the category. OnePlus was a brand which I focused because I understood there was a gap. There was not much of assortment which is there for the customer. Point number one. Point number two, if you remember, OnePlus launched in a premium category.
Yeah.
It was competing with iPhone.
Correct.
So the advantage what I had is, I had a premium brand, the brand which was focusing on the premium segment, plus it is not mass market.
Yeah.
Point number two. And point number three, there's not much of competition.
Less competition.
And they wanted quality.
Yeah.
So that's when I thought, ki liquid silicon, let me try with OnePlus. And I tried, and it was a very, very good hit that time. This was 2021, around I think August, September.
How many products did you sell of that?
Those days in Flipkart, we sold some 5,000 units.
Every day?
No, month.
In a month. Okay. What was the scale at that point of time? Like how many units orders were you doing?
When we started during COVID, before COVID, we started at around 20-25 units. And then we crossed around 300 units during COVID. So 2021, we are doing 300 units per day. And then 2022-23, when we launched back cover as a category, we were doing around 900 units a day, 800, 900. Wow.
And in this entire category, like the expectation is that you keep on scaling to other verticals.
Yes.
Yeah. And I assume that will be a very difficult choice, right? Because one thing when I'm talking to you, I realize you come with very, very strong first principles, which is around make sure there is less competition, make sure the product is probably a bit aspirational, make sure the quality is well researched.
Yes. We were very focused.
Yeah. So you have your own standards. So when you go into every new vertical, how do you manage the research now, or what do you do for research?
It is a bit tough. So when we initially launched Screen Guard, back cover was looking like an ocean to me. So they really had to segment it. Segmenting itself took me a month because there were like lakhs of designs, lakhs of models. That's when I said, okay, designer is one end, plain is one end. And then within that segment, then again I had to break it in terms of different materials. TPU was there was polycarbonate, and then there was rubber which was being sold, there was leather which being sold. So finalizing getting into the exact category, it was a 6-month process. So the same used to go for cables also. The cables, again, 2022 we launched, I think 22-23, that financial year we launched.
Yeah.
Again, cables, I wanted to do something different. So cables, I visited a couple of factories. So what made me choose cables as a category, if you ask, again, I saw a lot of gap. Primarily being me, an end user, I used to go and buy cables, chargers and all. That cable never used to last beyond 2-3 months.
Yeah, correct.
So that the corner
used to break off. Correct.
It will stop working. Even the branded cables were like that. I remember Samsung phone I bought, the Samsung cable did not last 3 to 6 months. That's when I realized there is a difference.
Why did this happen? Like, what was wrong with the industry why were cables not lasting?
So they were using a very cheaper material, and there were many things. First is inside, they used to use aluminium instead of copper. Aluminium is bit brittle when you compare it with copper. And point number two is the casing which they used to give was inferior quality. And the outer casing, they never used to do a braided kind of a casing. They were doing a simple silicon casing. And the edges were not made of metal. They were made of plastic. That's why they used to break.
Okay. How do you do so much of research? Like when I speak to you, I think on every category you have so many details into what is the pain point. So did you do it yourself or do you go out and see what is available in the market? Because I think research is the entire backbone of what you're doing.
Yeah.
So how do you do so much of research?
So initially I was an end user. When I'm an end user, then what happened? I shortlisted some factories which I'll visit. So 2023, when I visited the factories, I tried to understand. See, as I told you, in China, you have factories which serve the mass market, and also you have factories which serve a mid-premium market, and also factories which serve a premium market.
Right.
So when you visit factories which serve a premium market, right, like a US, which is a very evolved market, and US is ready to pay any money. When I say US as a customer.
Yeah.
So when you go to a factory which is serving a premium market, they get into those kind of details, which is very easy, which opens your eyes and gives you a lot of insights. When you compare it with a factory which goes into a mass market.
Yeah.
One is though you have a separate market itself, as I told you, the Nanfan Dashas of the world. There though that's a price game. They don't even understand what is braiding, what is aluminium, what is copper, they don't understand. And second is there are factories which are catering to mass market. And then there are factories which are catering to a very premium countries like US or a very developed kind of a market. When you go to those factories and try to ask questions, they explain you products in very good detail.
Okay.
So some bit you do your own research and take your own research with you when you go to China, and then spend time at the factory.
Yeah. Now, what is very interesting is India is still a very price sensitive market, right? You were procuring all your products from factories, which was probably building a little bit more premium.
Yes.
And how difficult was this positioning? Because after a point, do you think that market is saturated? You will hit only a certain scale? Or do you believe people were willing to spend on the products? And because this must have always come in your mind, right? Like in a category where I find a screen guard at probably 50 rupees in a market, how do you compete with them?
So when I did that initial research, right, one thing which came out was if you're buying a 40K or a 50K worth of mobile, the customer was willing to pay 2 to 3%.
Okay.
But the problem was that market was very small.
Yeah.
That was in 2017-18. And when I saw that in 2020, that market was exploding. Like if you see prior to 2019, the ASP of a mobile phone was around, I think 8K, 10K maybe.
Yeah.
The 10K became 18K over a period of 3-4 years, and 18K become 25K. So the trick is you should be able to see the trends as they happen. Like I told you, designer versus plain back covers. Plain back covers was not a category that time. So I could see that the market will move towards that. So there are some trends which you'll have to spot.
Yeah.
And that comes with a consumer understanding. That comes with the overall market understanding. Understanding India as an economy, India as a demographic nation, how the demographics are working.
Yeah.
So those things helped.
Got it.
So the macroeconomic perspective helped a lot. I am an economics grad.
Yeah.
So that
I think
that background also helped me.
In each of your conversation, you are really detailing out very, very sharply, like an economics grad, in terms of the market, in terms of the price, consumer perception, quality, and which does not come very easily to most of the folks.
Yeah. So one more thing which I did, coming to that again, the microeconomics which I applied. I implemented one pricing tool.
Okay.
So this was in 2022, which gave us a delta 2.5% margin. So how does that work? I'll just briefly explain you. So for example, we list a product. When we list a product, we keep a price, which we call it, let's call it as a standard selling price.
Yeah.
And then after 4 weeks, 1 month, we give it time for it to pick up visibility, whatever keyword seeding, SEO or whatever happens. After that, week on week, basis the demand, basis how many units had sold, we keep tweaking the price. And it's not manual. There's a long algorithm written in Excel. So it's like week 1, if it doesn't sell, cut it by a certain number of rupees. Week 2, cut it by a certain percentage. Week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, like that, week 8, up to 3 months. After 3 months, start breaking the price, move it to EOL. EOL is basically end of life. If it is not selling, it's okay, because maybe that category had a lot of demand, lot of sellers or brands in there. So it's not selling. So then move it to EOL, sell it at a break-even price. So we implemented that tool.
And in case if something is selling at a higher rate, did you increase the price consistently?
Of course, I increased.
Yeah, and that is, I think,
that's what I used to discuss with my friend. My friend said, how can you increase the price? I said, I've increased. I can show you so many examples. Yeah. So I showed him the tool. And
I think a lot of what we do at Flipkart also mimics what you are saying, what you're doing. So do you think your Flipkart experience played a lot of help in you building the brand?
Yeah, definitely.
Like if you want to give few specifics around, right? Like the way we look at search, the way we look at reco, the way we look at ads, the way we look at pricing. What do you think helped you or gave you an edge over other players because since you have been a part of the system?
So what happened in 2014 when we we were working on that BBD, Big Billion Day. So we did a lot of pricing analysis. So we used to tweak a lot around the price. And there were those days they were like very basic tools on how to map the pricing in terms of where competition was not involved. Then how do you price, what price the customer is willing to buy, because TV was a high ASP category.
Yeah.
These things helped me really a lot.
And anything apart from price, like say in terms of search, how do you use search terms? How should your catalog be because you have been part of the system? Did you do any changes in your entire listing process, in your entire advertisement process to give you that edge?
Yeah. So large appliances, if you see, we relaunched that category in 2014.
Yeah.
We worked a lot on the product page. We worked a lot on the last mile promise, overall customer experience as a lot. So that is when I understood what is merchandising, what is browse, what is search.
Yeah.
And it was like a very in-depth. So we were building it from the scratch. Those things really helped when I again restarted, or maybe when I started my own. So when I listed in Flipkart, these things were big learnings for me to implement. And I was very clear that merchandise is something I have to focus. I have to get it 100% right.
Yeah.
And we were consistently rated also gold seller those days.
Yeah.
Because those days merchandising was a very key metric.
Yeah, correct.
So merchandise metrics and then seller performance metrics, all these things we understood.
So now jumping, like what is the scale of the business right now?
Right now we are doing around 22 crores a year.
Okay.
So roughly around 2 crores a month we are doing.
And what are the biggest categories and how many categories you have expanded to? How many products do you have?
We are there in many categories now. So we are there in mobile screen guards we started with. Mobile back covers has become one of the biggest categories. After that, we launched a mobile camera lens protector. In mobile tempered glass itself, we launched the applicator, the self-applicator models. Then we've launched smartwatch accessories, smartwatch straps. After that, we've launched tablet accessories. Then we have chargers, charging cables.
But that's a lot of categories. And when you launch so many things, kabhi na kabhi to galti hui hogi. There might be some errors that you might have done. Can you explain about some time where something happened which you shouldn't have done, or in the hindsight you got a good learning?
So see, back covers, we invest a lot in mold. We are one of the, maybe the only brand or maybe only seller, as you can say, who invested a lot in molds.
So most of the people, do they still import the entire cover, or there is still a lot of people who do get the mold or manufacture the mold and do the manufacturing in India? How does it work right now?
India, it's not possible. The ecosystem is not built.
Okay. So right now, most of it is still molds in US, molds in China, and then
that is where their ecosystem, their mold ecosystem is very strong. Because in India, to get the mold done takes 8 to 10 weeks. China does it in 14 days. They have a machine which makes molds. They are so far ahead, very ahead.
Okay. And
so you just have to input the parameters and you'll get
a mold. Wow. And so how does it operate right now? Right, you get the mold from China and make the products here, or how does it operate?
No, we invest in mold. So we have contract manufacturing. So we invest in mold with the factory. The factory will develop the mold.
Okay.
And then they'll manufacture basis the MOQs.
Okay.
And then the replenishment happens.
You were telling about some mistake that you made around the molds.
It was not a mistake. Actually, it's basically the evolution of India as a market. That's one more incident which opened my eyes. So there was this model called Moto G31. So we invested in the mold again. I think Moto G31 or G33. I don't remember. 2023. So what happened is the model was launching. And we had a big fan base with Moto. Of course, Moto is become our license. We become the licensing partner. I will take you through that journey later.
Yeah.
So we invested in the mold, and what happened is, so if you see, those days 2022, fingerprint used to come behind the phone.
Yeah. Correct.
Behind the phone.
Yeah.
So they said it's behind the phone. We also said okay. So the mold got made and they manufactured the products, and then we got it into India. We realized the Indian version of the Motorola phone, they had put in-display fingerprint.
Oh.
And that they were one of the first ones to do it.
Okay. So how much stocks did you have?
We had crazy stocks that time.
And did you ship it to a lot of consumers already?
No, we had a very good dialogue with the customers.
Okay.
So the initial 5-7 customers immediately told us, who are living in the vicinity, they came collected immediately. So they told us, and then we recalled the rest of the stocks from the warehouse.
Okay.
But what fascinated me was, that's when it opened my eyes that India is there now.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, if you remember, the iPhones used to launch in US, then Europe, then India. So India was a developing country that time.
Correct.
But 23 onwards, if you see, iPhone, India is a priority now.
Correct.
They'll ensure that it is available within 5 days of the launch.
Yeah.
So that's when it opened my eyes that India is there now. Even now, when I talk to factories, right, they tell these models are still not launched globally. Matlab, they are also fascinated. They say, what? Matlab, India is like basically driving the whole technological evolution.
Yeah, I think we have just leapfrogged over one device generation completely, and that is how it's playing well. So you were telling something about the Motorola story. I would want to hear more in details about that.
So Motorola, what happened, like the ROG, even the Moto phones never had the back covers. So we found that as an opportunity. So we invested a lot of money in the molds. We used to get dedicated models for the Motorola customers, and we started building a customer base 2022-23. So I think Motorola observed it. They wanted somebody to handle their back covers and tempered glass as a category.
Oh, wow.
So they got in touch last year,
Okay.
25 March, April, saying they wanted somebody to handle the entire chain. When I say the entire chain, from the mold design to the mold development to mold, making the mold, manufacturing the product, getting it into India, distributing the products into India across all the channels.
And did you approach Motorola? Motorola approached you?
Motorola approached us.
Just because you had a good fan base and people who were using the products?
Maybe because the digital trends.
Yeah, correct.
They saw that. They approached us.
And now, how many SKUs you have in total?
We have around 14,000.
14,000 SKUs at a point where you were so selective in deciding what SKUs to keep, etc. Having so much SKUs must require a lot of data, backend, tools, etc. to manage the entire ecosystem. So how did you invest in tech, or how has that journey been? Like, how do you manage your entire day-to-day operation with 14,000 SKUs?
See, there are 2-3 things which come into play when the SKU count becomes more. One, first is the merchandise. We try to standardize the merchandise images so that the scaling up becomes easier. I'll give you an example. If you have OnePlus Nord back cover, you have to make merchandise images around 5-6.
Yeah.
Then you have a Moto something back cover. Again, you'll have to make merchandise images. So first, we made it a homogeneous kind of a model so that the scaling up becomes fast. That is in terms of the merchandising.
Now, with AI coming in, does it become easier?
Much easier.
Much easier, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's a totally different story.
Yeah.
So one is the merchandising. The second part is the inventory.
Yeah.
Again, for inventory management, demand forecasting, we made a tool in Excel. There was a lot of algorithm in there.
Okay.
So basis that tool.
So you did it yourself, or do you have a team to manage that?
Yeah, the team manages it. The tool, the whole thought process, I only
did. So do you have, currently how many people are there in the team?
There are around 27.
27 people, and all of them in Bangalore and operating out of.
We have a warehouse in Kolkata,
Okay.
but that the Kolkata, we have outsourced it.
Okay.
So there's the agency which manages.
Okay. And
Bangalore warehouse, we manage it.
Okay. And do you also sell in quick commerce these days?
Yeah. We are there on Swiggy.
Okay.
Minutes, we are there.
Yeah.
And Zepto, we are there.
And how is the demand for this category in quick commerce picking up?
It is picking up fast.
Yeah.
They just launched it 6-8 months back.
Yeah.
This category is hardly 6-7 months old.
Oh, that's it. And you are seeing good demand traction coming out of it? Okay. And when you think about offline and see, when someone uses a screen guard, right, there is still a bit of resistance in terms of how do I put it right? How do I make sure that it sits well on the glass? So did you do any interventions did you do to make sure that that experience is very seamless?
As I told you, in 2021, we experimented with an app, but that app experience was not so great. So in that app, it will basically tell us where to keep the glass and all that. So we had customers still not quite getting evolved in terms of applying the tempered glass. That's when we work very closely with factories, and we've got a DIY model.
Okay.
So what the DIY is, so that we invest in a mold. So that mold, what it does is it will basically replicate the mobile outer dimensions, and then there is a tempered glass inside. So you just have to keep that on top of the phone, just slide it and remove it.
Okay,
it's like a DIY.
It's become much more simpler.
It is much more simpler for the normal phones. Of course, edge phones are more or less gone now.
Yeah. And what is your rating on the marketplace platforms?
Flipkart, we are 4.2 star, 4.2, 4.1. And we are the top, in spite of our prices are like 3.5x, 4x. Yeah. In spite of that, we've consistently been a very good and customer feedback brand.
Yeah, and on those quality, have there ever been instances where you see consumers not giving such great reviews about products, etc.? Did you ever make tweaks to figure out how do I get the product better? Or how do you use consumer reviews in your entire product journey cycle?
So as I told you, for screen guards, initially, when Samsung used to get those edge phones, if you remember the earlier S series were edge phones, which will have the edge display. So those phones, we initially experimented with the full glue, and we got a customer backlash because full glue, what it happens is it traps the glue.
Yeah.
Because the phone is curved, right? The glass is curved. So when you try to apply, it traps the air inside, and the customers are not able to apply. And we took a call within couple of months itself. We just destroyed all the full glue stock and we moved into edge glue. Okay. Of course, edge glue, you cannot have a very heavy duty usage, but in terms of the touch experience, it's one of the best.
Better.
One was that. And second, if you see in the market, you will have that UV glasses. And that we knew early on itself when I visited the factory that it is not good for the display. Removing it is a big pain, and the overall mobile performance goes down.
Okay.
Both in terms of your, as I told you, the transmittance, the touch, the transparency, everything. So we never launched.
Okay, got it. Now, you have gotten a lot of products. Can you explain me about few products that you have? It would be great to just hear from you. What is the differentiation? What does the product look like? Yeah. Any new innovation you might have done? It would be great.
So I'll just show you the screen guard which I was talking to you, Kapil. So we've invested in the mold. So the mold will mimic the outer dimensions of the mobile phone. You just have to place it on the phone, and then you just have to slide it, and it gets applied. This is again the anti-spy version. The privacy version nobody has. Again, a customer feedback.
Yeah.
Customers gave us feedback that they want the anti-spy version. Nobody else has it.
And how much does this cost?
This one costs around $550.
$550. Oh.
Also, we also innovated on this installation kit. These are all very old innovations. So here also we given many things so that the application becomes easy. So this kit comes wherein you have all these things. So we give the full set. So it becomes easy. So you get this, and of course the installation instructions also. So these are very small things, but we just ensure that the customer has an easy experience applying. So that comes from a continuous customer dialogue. We keep getting feedback and we keep implementing the feedback.
Yeah, I'll keep it. So just one thing, I'm very curious. Now, in most of the DIY categories, right, returns become important because consumer को नहीं समझ में आया कि कैसे लगाना है. So do you struggle with returns in your product portfolio, or is it manageable?
We've struggled with returns, but what we have done is we have given that warranty. So and we have everywhere we put the customer care number.
Okay.
So the customers call us. Okay. So we guide them.
Okay.
So that's a dialogue. That's where we get all the feedback.
And what is the return percentage in this category?
This category is less, hardly 3.5%.
Okay, so it's not that big of a problem.
Yeah.
Because probably you have integrated so much of DIY techniques, you have explained in clear manuals, given a number in case someone wants to call. So overall, you have made the process much more simpler.
Yeah. Even the process simpler. And one thing we've been very clear is from day one, we've invested in customer care.
Okay.
So we've had an active customer care team handling WhatsApp, email, phone. So we've had all the channels.
I think this is a huge differentiation. Lots of people who do in this category, they work like traders. What you are saying, right? They work like
traders. They do not have an active customer care.
Yeah, I think this becomes
and that from there we get a lot of feedback, which actually helps us in evolving.
And I think that is where you can command a premium also. I think your story is so much about how do you ensure you give the best product and the best experience, and in the end, a consumer is ready to pay that premium.
Yes.
Right. Is there any other product you want to talk about? Any other innovation?
This is our flagship product.
Okay.
So this is liquid silicone back cover.
Okay.
So this is a very environmentally sustainable product. So this comes out of, as I told you, from the soil.
Yeah.
So it is silica gel made out of silica from the soil. And here you have the microfiber lining so that the scratches don't happen. And it gets packed. The beauty about this is one is the finish will be the same even after 1 year. Of course, there is a smoothness, but overall finish will remain the same. Second is there's no dust which can go inside.
Wow.
And third, if you feel, just try to feel this. Can you feel a sponginess?
Yeah.
So it's a very rare material which absorbs the shocks to a certain extent. Other materials, whatever are there in mobile back covers, they transmit the shock to the mobile.
Okay.
So which in some ways it hits the hardware over a period of time.
Yeah.
So this one absorbs it.
I think it's a very interesting part where the detail with which you explain the product and the conviction I see when you're holding the product and telling about it, I think it's very encouraging to see someone invest so much into quality in a category which is so commoditized and create a differentiation. So I think that's all the questions I have. You have any questions for me? Anything you want me to answer?
Yeah, I just wanted to understand from you, how will quick commerce play out the way things are happening? There's so much action happening. There are new players coming in. There is Flipkart Minutes which got launched.
I think it is creating the next wave of probably e-commerce penetration in the country. I think it's such an important thing. People are now, for many purchases, especially people in urban areas, they go to quick commerce for most of their needs. And there will be product categories which will sustain in the old e-commerce way. There will be product categories which will become very big here. But I think consumer as a persona will start trusting e-retail a lot more. I think this is the next inflection curve which will happen in the entire e-retail journey. And I believe that this is going to change fundamentally how consumers shop in the country. So in my opinion, it is just making sure that people are coming a lot more online and they are getting products so quickly, and especially in urban areas, right, where it is very inconvenient to step out and figure out something. People are getting things in 10 minutes. I see most of the behaviors around most of our circles, right, changing, and that change is so rapid. Like for probably what e-commerce took, I think 10-15 years to build, they are probably doing it in 2-3 years. I think it's a great news for the industry, a great thing what is being played out here. And yeah, I think there are lots of categories which will move to e-commerce very soon.
But how do you see that playing out in terms of the number of dark stores, the economics coming into play when compared to e-commerce?
See, I think all the products which are predictable from a local fulfillment perspective, I think they will start moving here. Now, the data has to become richer on the number of products which can be predicted. The consumer's demand will be created with so much of content ecosystem creating, and more consumer demand is coming in. I believe the unit economics is there and it works. And with the unit economics, what it is right now, we will again become more and more efficient as systems evolve, as product evolves. Right now, if you just see, it's just 3-4 years old, and still here people are making sure that the stores which are older stores are profitable. So I just believe that with tech, and tech is becoming much more easier than before, with tech and the right investments and figuring out with lot more science in terms of where to build, what categories to hold. I believe this category will just explode in few more years.
Okay.
Yeah. So is there any other question you have?
That's it.
I think I'm amazed when I spoke to you, the clarity with which you bought in about the products and the kind of research that you're doing for building a category. These are the only ways in which one can command a premium. So best of luck on your journey. I think it is a great one already, and it will just become better. Thank you so much.
Thank you.